Hi guys. So I just got off the phone with a client and she had some questions after she watched my last video, which was, what do therapists really think when you cry? So I want to kind of respond to those questions while they're fresh on my mind. So don't mind the shaky phone. I'm just holding this and doing this as I'm thinking about it. So her questions were around, what is it like for me in the session? Do I ever cry in session? And do I ever kind of take those emotions with me, or do they ever impact me later, and I think about it later, or they bring me down, or that kind of thing? Which are all really good questions, and questions that I've got from clients before. So I want to try to answer some of those here. So I would say that as time has gone on, and I've been doing therapy and working with people for a long time now, and I've also been doing my self-work for a long time now, I think that this has gotten easier as far as taking it with me. So it hasn't got easier as in when I'm sitting in session, I care less or I'm impacted less. I don't think that ever gets easier, or I don't think it should. I think you should always feel the same emotion and connect with clients the same. But I would say what I have grown in is I don't take it with me as much. So I would consider myself a little bit of an empath, if you've kind of heard about that, as in I tend to feel pretty strongly what people are feeling around me. So if I'm sitting with a client and they're telling something really intense, I feel that emotion in a pretty real way, and I can feel that and connect with that with them. What it feels like for me now, though, is it feels like I step in and I'm holding their burden with them for the time that we are in session. And I'm supporting them and I'm helping them, and I feel that weight and that pain. And then when they leave, I step away and they step away. So I can feel that emotion and I can feel it in a very real and intense way, but I'm very aware that it's not mine. So if I'm very aware that it's not mine, it means it doesn't impact me in the same way it would if it was mine, but it does impact me in the fact that that's a human being that I love and care about, and they're hurting, and that is hard for me and that hurts me, but it's not mine to take on to feel or mine to take on to fix necessarily. So I think that's the difference there, is that it's not mine to own and it's not mine to fix, but it's mine to feel and support and validate and help as much as I can, but it's not mine. So yes, I'm impacted 100%, and I think I always will be impacted, especially when clients are going through a really intense time, and it's so deep and it's so real, and it's really tough. So I think I am impacted, but no, I don't take it home with me. And I think that's a skill that I've learned over time, and also in developing my own really solid coping routines and coping skills, I have learned how to not take that home with me as much. Now that doesn't mean that things don't still come up, or I don't think about a client when I'm at home sometimes, or I don't feel something or wonder how someone is or feel bad, or that still happens for sure, but it doesn't consume me. It's more like when that comes up, I think about it and I often send them a loving thought, or I send them energy, and I really do. I think about it and I send them energy and I send them love, and then I go on with my day or what I'm doing. So that's kind of how I deal with that kind of stuff when it comes up, which for me works really well and is really helpful. And I think clients also appreciate that too when I tell them that, or sometimes when I think of a client, I'll message them and say, hey, just thinking of you, sending you love, and they seem to really appreciate that, knowing that they're on my mind and that I care about them, but also knowing that I have very healthy boundaries around that, and I'm not gonna I'm not going to cross those. So it's a fine line. It's a difficult one, I think, for new therapists, especially therapists who have, really, really passionate hearts. It's hard for sometimes, but it's something that can be worked through, and it's a skill, I think, learning to balance that kind of stuff. As far as crying in session, this is another really cool topic, I think, to cover, because I've heard stories from clients where their therapist is just sobbing in session, or where they're like, they don't seem to care at all. They're not even like emotional, and I'm laying my life out for them. So both can be problematic. For me, I have not sobbed in session, but I have definitely got teary and felt that emotion with them. And it's always felt really appropriate when that's happened. And I think I'm also really comfortable now in saying how that feels for me. So when they're expressing that to me, I can express to them what that feels like to hear and to witness and to see them expressing that emotion. And I can tell them kind of what that's doing to me and how I feel and that kind of thing. And that seems to be really helpful as well. When I first started, I think I tried to hide that more and hide that and hold that back because I wasn't comfortable with my own emotion. I didn't want to make it about me, and I didn't know if I could express that or if I should express that or any of that. But the more I've gone in this, the more I realize that the more real and genuine you are with someone, the better. And the more they know what it's like for you, the more they can express what it's like for them, the more they feel heard and validated. And if someone feels really understood and really seen, that's an incredible healing space for them. And it's not that, I am not out of control or I'm not, off in some, world where I'm just crying, but I'm feeling with them and I see them and I'm very present. I think that's a really healing space. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I know a lot of you have had experiences on both ends of the spectrum, and a lot of therapists maybe have kind of different takes on this, but that's kind of how I feel and how I deal with all of this, and that's what comes up for me in session, and I just try to be as real as possible. And I think also if I'm really grounded, if I've done my meditation for the day and my coping for the day, then I can go into session and I can hold that space for you and I can feel that with you, but I'm really solid and stable. So I can hold that and feel that, but I'm not gonna be tipped over by it because I can hold that and I'm ready to hold that for you and with you. So I think it's really important that therapists do their self-work and their coping and their grounding, because we're holding some really intense stuff and we need to be really solid to hold that for people and to be safe and solid for people. So those are my thoughts on that. Those are my follow-up questions. If you guys have any more follow-up questions, please ask and I'll address those as well. All right. Thank you, everybody.